Hello, chess fans! This is Rick from Chess to Impress with coverage of round 4 of the 2017 Sinquefield Cup. An eventful round. Later I'll show you some of the Carlsen-Vacher-Lagrave game. But first we look at another Russia versus USA clash. Jan Nepomniachtchi versus Hikaru Nakamura. Let's get into it. Nepomniachtchi is white, Nakamura is black. Played on Saturday the 5th of August 2017. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3 and d5. The classical Queen's Gambit declined, which is part of Nakamura's opening repertoire, so it would have been expected by Nepomniachtchi as one of the openings to prepare for this game. Knight c3, bishop e7, bishop f4, Nakamura castled, e3, and now c5, aiming for quick development of all his pieces. Another main move here is knight bd7, after white then usually plays c5. After the move from the game, Nepomniachtchi took on c5, bishop takes, c takes d5, knight takes, and e takes d5, 6 capturing moves in a row. Black has the isolated queen's pawn, but quick development for his pieces and good control of the blockading square, the d4 square. He'll play knight c6 and he has that square under control. Bishop d3 from Nepomniachtchi, while a3 to stop bishop b4 check is the main move. So Nakamura gave that check. Knight had to go back to d2, knight c6, Nepomniachtchi castled, bishop e6 putting all his pieces into play, and knight f3 returning to the active square, and threatening knight g5, which is unpleasant for black. If black, for example, plays rook c8, developing the rook, then there is knight g5, and you don't really want to play h6, you might have to, but it weakens the light squares, it's a bit unpleasant for black. And if you play g6 instead, that's even worse, because then white has the shot knight takes h7. And if you take that knight, there is queen h5 check. The pawn on g6 is pinned. So king back to g8, then bishop takes g6, f takes, queen takes, king h8 only move, queen h6 check, king back to g8, and queen takes e6 check. Everything with check. White has 3 pawns for the piece. The black king has no protection. It looks good for white. So back to the game. After knight f3, the threat knight g5 is there. So Nakamura prevents that with bishop e7. Rook c1, bishop f6, nice diagonal for the bishop. a3, and you should note now that you cannot take on b2, because if you take on b2 there is bishop takes h7 check, king takes, queen c2 check, wins the piece back. King g8, queen takes b2, and this is slightly better for white. Nakamura did not take on b2. After a3 he played queen e7, b4, a6, h3, rook ac8, and rook c5. And Nepomniachtchi in the interview afterwards called this a little bit of a provocative move. a5 from Nakamura, and here Nepomniachtchi said that he already expected the move b6, which we'll see later, which is very important in this game. He played queen b1, protecting his pawn, and attacking h7. Both bishop and queen are pointing at the h7 square. Nakamura took on b4, a takes b4, and here Nakamura should have played g6 to stop the threat on h7, but he played b6, and that was a bad move. The rook is attacked, the rook went back to c1, and only now did Nakamura play g6, but he had missed the shot bishop a6. Let's look in a minute why that is so strong. Instead of g6, Nakamura could have kept material equality with knight takes b4, allowing bishop takes h7 check, king h8, and bishop f5. Material is equal, but white is better. He has one pawn island, while black has 3 pawn islands, and especially that pawn on b6 is very weak. Advantage for white. But after the move from the game g6, there was bishop a6 as mentioned, and the rook cannot keep protecting the knight. The rook is attacked and the c7 square is not accessible for the rook. Maybe Nakamura looked at rook a8, counter-attacking white's bishop, but had missed that if he had played that, there would have been rook takes c6, rook takes a6, and then bishop d6 with a skewer of queen and rook. Let's continue that variation. Queen d7, then white can take on f8, and if you take back, there is b5 protecting the rook, and white is an exchange up, and if you, instead of taking back, you play queen takes c6, then there is b5 with a nice fork, and white will also come out of this with extra material. After bishop a6, Nakamura decided to take on b4. There goes his exchange, bishop takes c8, rook takes, bishop takes, and rook c1. Black has a pawn for the exchange, but not only is he material down, also his pieces are not coordinating well, and he has weak pawns. Nepomniachtchi played the remaining moves very quickly. For a top grandmaster, this is an easy position to convert. Bishop f5 from Nakamura, attacking the queen. Queen went to b3, knight d3, rook c7, hitting black's queen, queen d8, bishop g3. He does not want Nakamura to take on f4, h5, queen takes b6, picks up a pawn, h4, bishop went to d6, bishop e4, queen c6. White is now threatening rook c8, winning the queen. So king g7, rook c8 anyway. d4 was Nakamura's last move, counter-attacking white's queen. It doesn't work, but saving his queen with queen a5 would not have worked either because of bishop f8 check. That's not playable. Black will get mate quickly. After king h7, queen takes f6. There's already a forced mate on the board. So after d4 from the game, Nepomniachtchi simply took on e4 and Nakamura resigned. If he takes the rook on c8, there is queen takes d3 with a full piece up for white and no compensation for black. Big mistake by Nakamura, playing b6, and a nice win, nice conversion of that advantage by Jan Nepomniachtchi, who started the tournament with 2 losses, but now has his first win. Nakamura made 3 draws in the first 3 rounds and now has a loss. He's still waiting for his first win. Let's now move to the Carlsen-Vacher-Lagrave game. It was a 71 move struggle and a very complex game as well. I want to show you a few positions. Carlsen was white, Vacher-Lagrave was black. This is the position after 45 bishop e5 takes a pawn on g3. And here Carlsen could have won with a very difficult move. He should have played here rook d2. And why is that such a strong move? Well, the rook on d8 is hanging, and if you play that rook, for example, to c8, then there is a fantastic knight sacrifice knight takes b6. And if you take that knight, there is bishop c4. And the rook is pinned. And there's no good way to protect that rook with a piece. You cannot protect it with the rook. You cannot protect it with the bishop. You can play king e6. But then there is rook takes d3. And white wins. If instead of rook c8 you play, for example, rook b8 to stop knight takes b6, then there is knight e3 with lots of threats. You threaten bishop c4, you threaten to take on d3, you threaten knight takes d5. You can still play knight b4 check, and after c takes b4, take on d2. But then there is knight takes g4, and the bishop on g5 is now attacking the rook on d2. And again, white wins here. So with rook d2, Carlsen could have won. He didn't see it, he played rook g2, and that move does not win. The position is equal, but still very, very complex. And things went downhill for the world champion. Let's move to the end of the game. This is the position after 71, knight e3 to f2. Material is equal, but black is easily winning here. In fact, Carlsen resigned here. The winning plan is to play the knight from f2 to e4 to d2, and then the f-pawn will promote. If you try to stop that with bishop c4, for example, then there is knight e4, picking up the c3 pawn, and black will win with his extra pawn. If you play something else, bishop g6 to stop knight e4, then there is knight d1, attacking the c-pawn, and after c4, knight e3 check, and the pawn will promote. King e1, f2 check, king e2, f1 queen. Just showing you a few variations. There are other things white can try, but nothing will work. Carlsen saw that, and he resigned this very complex and very long game. Big win for Vachier-Lagrave, who now takes the lead in the tournament. The results of round 4, Svietler and So played a draw. We saw Nepomniachtchi versus Nakamura, who blundered with b6. Aronjan and Anand played a draw, as did Caruana and Karyakin, and we saw a few snippets from the Carlsen-Vachier-Lagrave struggle. The standings: Vachier-Lagrave takes the lead after beating the world champion with the black pieces. Caruana is second on his own at 2.5. A big group of players on 2 out of 4. And Nakamura, Svietler and Nepomniachtchi are on -1. Round 5 will be played on Sunday the 6th of August, and I will be here after the round to tell you what happened. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment, and you also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box, as well as the link to the 2017 Sinquefield Cup playlist of the earlier videos I made on this tournament. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you very much for watching.